Hey everyone, welcome to Leftist Nerd Reacts. Today we're going to be talking about JJK chapter 227. The title's always long, but I think it's the decisive and final battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku, part 5. I know I added some extra words there. A lot happened this chapter, but at the same time I feel like not that much happened in this chapter. But let's get right into it and then we go from there. As far as the plot recap is concerned for JJK 227, it can honestly be summarized really quickly as Gojou and Sukuna test each other's domain limits, and there's a lot of like chess maneuvering back and forth with every other character in the series basically watching it a la baseball game, commenting, or at least making some sort of short appearance with the handful of exceptions like Tatakaba, I can't remember his name, the comedian who we just don't see, who I'm honestly really looking for. Shout out to Mei for making this a true live stream. If I want to give more meat to the plot recap for this chapter, we see Gojou basically talk to Sukuna about, hey, I understand your domain can be of wider range. They go tit for tat back and forth, popping off their domains again and again. People are mind blown on what the fuck is happening. As Gojou expands his domain, changes the conditions for his domain, so does Sukuna. Sukuna does equally as impossible stuff, or at least to the audience what we thought was seemingly impossible stuff. Everything Gojou does, Sukuna undoes, and vice versa, until we get to the end of the chapter where Gojou seemingly traps Sukuna inside this barrier, or at least that's the way I took it, inside Infinite Void, after they both basically expanded their domains as wide and as far as they could go. Yeah, we get bogged down into the plot and like each individual panel. I'm not going to do that. If you want to see that, I'm definitely going to be doing live streams as we get more subscribers on this channel. That'll be the place for that, especially for chapters like this, where there may be a lot of dialogue and there may be a lot of lore and stuff that's hinted at and built up or explained, or even power dynamics and power structure. Plot wise, not too much is going on. Again, we're in the middle of a very technically heavy fight. I think Gege Akutami is doing a fantastic job balancing really difficult fight choreography as well as lore and character interaction. It's really good so far. That just means that the plot, there's not much happening to move it forward yet. It's a lot of build up still to whatever is going to be ultimately the result of this fight that then moves the plot forward in the direction of A or B or C, who knows. That being said, there are a couple of things I do want to call out. I really want to spend more time here on the important notes side. The first one specifically is Hiromi. Look, I'm just going to say this. I think Hiromi is an astoundingly interesting character. I wish we have more time with him. He seems like a savant. I know the panels more or less allude that to him. He's been a sorcerer for like a month, 2 maybe, and is just on money with it. He's clearly an intelligent dude who cares a lot and is full of emotion, hence his curse energy output, hence his ability to be so skilled, and he was a defense lawyer in the first place, or maybe prosecutorial? Ooh, I want to say defense, but I could be wrong. But yeah, he was clearly an intelligent dude who was just filled with a lot of piss and vinegar, and he's here now. And it's interesting to me that Hiromi almost instantaneously picked up in the last few chapters is actually keeping up with the battle as it's progressing, not only what Gojou's doing, how he's doing it, even understanding, oh, Gojou flipped the conditions of his internal and external domain. Obviously, Hiromi is someone who already has a domain expansion, but understanding it to that degree so early on in his Jujutsu career, his experience as a sorcerer is honestly to me really impressive. It's one of those little character things that for me goes a long way. I hope we get to see more of Hiromi. I know we're in the final act and we're in like the last stretch, so I don't really know what that means, but I hope whatever that does mean, that Hiromi is a part of it. He's become quietly one of my favorite parts of JJK. To that end, we also have Kusakabe. I know Gege's author notes a few weeks ago, or might have just been honestly last chapter. It's kind of hard with all the breaks from all the big 3 and everyone else that to kind of keep track. Kusakabe's basically the plot driver for Gege Akutami. He said so as much that he's the character that's easiest to draw, then explains a bunch of stuff, works out while that he's a teacher. Kusakabe this chapter basically giving a bunch of info, again, Gojo Satoru's technique from the Gojo clan that's helping him here, as well as what's kind of happening with the domains, and he's also railing that Gojo can just hacks. He can just Minecraft creative mode, and it's just not fair because no one else can do that. And the same thing with Sukuna to some extent. They're speculating on Sukuna because they obviously can't see inside Infinite Void, so we see what's happening inside Infinite Void from Gojou's perspective, and he's saying more or less the same stuff. But Kusakabe on the outside is actually just watching Gojo and just mind blown and upset that he can make his domain bigger, smaller, flip the conditions, change the rules just at will. Something that as an audience, I'm 99.999% sure we were never told about, and it seemingly implied that there were hard limits around your domain, like you could change the conditions, to my understanding. Yeah, I think that might even be some headcanon stuff from me, because I don't remember anyone ever saying anything about changing your domain as much as explaining what domains were in more detail. Here we actually see Gojo actively changing his domain. To that same end, we get a lot of this chapter really Gege just forcing the point home, and I get it, and I think he did as much as he could, and he should. More or less explaining that each element of Jujutsu, each element of curse energy manipulation, output, etc., is a Lego piece. There's been a lot of assumptions in the fandom about how everything is tied together, and it's not a bridge. It's not like if you do a barrier technique, it has to be A, B, C, D, E. No. Instead, Gege has really forced a point home that curse energy output, reverse curse energy, curse technique, domains, barriers, innate techniques, simple domains, amplification, negation, healing, every single element that we've heard of so far. I'm willing to bet even something like we saw before, enchanting, dancing, all that stuff that adds into the tech, that adds into the lore and the technical aspect. Each is a Lego piece. And you can negotiate those Lego pieces with restrictions, rules, self-imposed rules, times. It seems stuff like fate, and then even seemingly impossible stuff is within reach if you are particularly skilled or at least a freak of nature. Again, we see Sukuna do something that makes sense, turn off the sure hit effect of his domain. Sure, that makes total sense. If domain amplification is effectively a domain without a sure hit effect and is just the external barrier, at least that's what I remember. I'm not gonna Google it right now. Then yeah, it makes sense you can turn on and off your innate technique because your technique sits in the barrier, but you get to choose it. Hence domain amplification. Makes total sense. We then get stuff that is just seemingly super broken, like Gojo willy-nilly changing the size of his domain. It's obviously relative to strength, so his huge domain area of effect is significantly weaker than a small one. But in the first place, we didn't even know you could do that. We only saw Kenjaku and Sukuna do that by having an anchor point in the center of their domain. Kinda nuts. On the flip, we also see Gojo flip the internal and external conditions of his domain, which again makes some sense. We've seen that before, or we've seen hints of that before. But really the point of this is that each individual thing in JJK is just a Lego piece. You can choose to put them together however you want to. How they interact has some standard rules, but those rules can be changed and manipulated with vows or certain conditions. Or the last thing I want to call out here is Gojo's last panel, which again, Gege I think is really driving the point home mechanically about how these powers work. We see domains expand to the nth degree. Sukuna expanded his as far as possible. Admittedly, I don't know why he would take the bait from Gojo, where Gojo's like, is this your, like, where Gojo's like, yeah, I know you can expand it wider. I don't know why. I know Gojo sets it up by doing another domain, forcing Sukuna to then expand his domain to the maximum limit. I am hesitant to think about why he would go full on maximum and not just one more again past Gojo's domain. When Gojo flips the internal and external conditions of his barrier, I don't understand why Sukuna didn't just expand it a little bit beyond that, not all the way, whatever. But at the end, we do see that Gojo equally expands his domain just as far and then collapses it, and we get a little tiny ball. My understanding of this, or at least the way I'm interpreting it, is they're obviously in there. If Mei is correct, and obviously she is, and I think it makes a lot of sense, the bigger your domain, the less strong it is than this tiny little, it reminds me of Perfect Circle. This tiny little domain that's just basically a ball or like what seems like a black hole, probably pretty damn strong in the first place. But yeah, that's my thoughts so far on the important stuff. My personal feelings about this chapter, you know, I think JJK is in an interesting place. I've actually been loving the last few chapters. Really, the whole Shinjuku fight so far, Sukuna versus Gojo, has been fantastic. I think Gege's planned this really well. He's plotted it really well. To me, JJK is at its height when Gege is able to balance art, character, lore, explanation of the power system and power dynamic, all of these things into this like fine melody. There's certainly an artistic signature that Gege Akutami is working with here that I think is really present, and it is honestly a really good thing for JJK, and these last 5 chapters have been full of it and I've been loving it. And again, it includes stuff like choreography too. Like there's all these things that just work really well together when he does them the right way, and we've just been plugged in and I've been loving it. So this chapter is really great. That being said, I am nervous because this chapter did also feel not like an ass pull, but approaching ass pull territory. Approaching the territory where we will have this new thing you've never heard of, I just do it now. And it's like everyone's like, what? That's what I'm nervous about. Especially considering we haven't even gotten to the Kenjaku fight. I know that Gekatami wanted to end it by this year. We still have about 6-ish months to get to the year. So more or less, without any more breaks, 24-ish chapters. I can see an ending for the series within that time frame, but I'm curious what that might look like. The only reason I bring it up is, yes, Gojo and Sukuna are freaks of nature, so for sure they're doing stuff that's impossible for everyone else. They're doing stuff that breaks the rules, or at least we understand it as the rules. Yeah, they are freaks of nature, but I'm still nervous. I am still nervous about what we're really playing with here as far as the borders and boundaries of this hard magic system. I wouldn't care as much if it wasn't a hard magic system. I wouldn't care as much if JJK didn't invest a ton of effort into explaining this to us in gruesome detail. And I think this is a bit of a double-edged sword, at least for me. Yes, you have people who break this because they are just, again, freaks of nature. Totally makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't. I am nervous we're getting to a point where we'll just say, yeah, all the final bosses have like secret hidden stuff that's never been explained or hinted at. And here's a new thing I have to explain, that they just have Infinity Shield, Infinity Sword. I automatically win, except oopsie doopsie. Tengen or someone finally decides to do something, or actually Yuji now has something from all the cursed wombs he ate. And then now here's an also new thing that perfectly counters 1-to-1. Again, I'm enjoying this so far. I am just nervous because we really, at least for me, this certainly feels like the maximum level of lore and technical explanation we can reach before we just start getting to ass pull territory. That being said, again, I really enjoyed this chapter. I'm enjoying the final saga, but I am nervous because in the back of my mind, it is, hey, the series is ending, and it's difficult for me as a weekly reader to see so much potential in a series so early on in its relative career. The author, Gekatami, is clearly talented, clearly knows what he wants to do. All power to him. I hope he does everything he wants, and he should have the full liberty and right to stop his story whenever he decides to. But that also means as a reader, I have the full liberty and right to be as upset as I feel about a story that I'm invested in. We're only 227 chapters in. We might well end JJK around chapter 250, and it's nuts because we haven't even done the Heian era at all, let alone so many others, let alone so many characters that we could explore and so many other stories that are there to tell. Hopefully in the future we do get more of this really interesting world to explore, but until then, who knows? And until we get to the ending, who knows? This is all speculation. If you've been liking this, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all the things. In the meantime, there's also a Black Clover book club coming out. We just released our first video on Patreon, actually. By the time this drops, it's not available publicly yet. It'll be available publicly Sunday and every Sunday moving forward, except for the big arcs. So far in Black Clover, there aren't any big arcs, no 50, 100 chapters yet, but hopefully soon. But if you're someone who's interested in Black Clover and seeing my first impressions, having never read or watched the series before, that video is there. Additionally, we started dropping Chainsaw Man stuff, woohoo, which I'm very happy about. I've been a big Chainsaw Man reader for a long time, and it's been mostly production issues that have held us up, so I'm happy that we're finally dropping that, as well as obviously MHA and One Piece per usual. In the background, I'm also working on much more longer form video essays. Be on the lookout for those. But again, if you want to support the channel, if you want to see more content like this, if you want to support a small creator who is trying to have an active media space engaging with, well, at least Weekly Shonen Jump for now, but definitely DC and Marvel Comics and Image and other graphic novels and manhwa on webtoons and similar platforms, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, join the Patreon if you're interested in early access to content, as well as on the Black Clover book club and future book clubs. Notes, my chapter notes, sometimes per chapter, sometimes per arc, that are basically live reactions you can read along with, if that's of any interest to you, if you just want some chuckles or some interesting call outs. Again, thank you for stopping by. I hope I'll be seeing you soon.